Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of the Manila Times Celebrity Style and Inspiration Spotlight. I'm very happy today to welcome you to one of the foremost destinations for feng shui in the country. Of course, the Yin and Yang shop at the New World Hotel. I'm here today with Mr. Patrick Lim Fernandez, who's going to tell us a bit more about the coming Chinese New Year. Hello, Patrick.
Hi, Tessa. How are you? Hong Si Fat Sai.
Hong Si Fat Sai. And thank you for always inviting the Manila Times just before the Chinese New Year. Interesting, though, that you've mentioned you've lived in two parts of the world for over 20 years. We would like to know a little bit about you, Patrick, if you don't mind, but please just to give us a brief background on how you got into practicing feng shui.
Sure.
Yes.
So I think my life has been literally the yin and the yang. So growing up here in the Philippines, my mom is Chinese, similar with my sister Princess. We're half Chinese, and feng shui has been part of our DNA. Growing up, we'd have these feng shui masters come at home, and then all of a sudden my mom would put all these things around the house that growing up you think, okay, these are like magic items or magic amulets, etc. And then over the years we learned more about it, and I learned a lot from my mom about the science behind it and what to do and how to calculate based on people's birthdays, the house's direction, etc. And then I moved into more traditional corporate roles. So I went to Ateneo, and then I got my MBA in the US in California. Then I got to work for a lot of large banks in HSBC, Wells Fargo, Capital One. I also worked in Silicon Valley for about 10 years.
Wow. Okay. I just needed to stick that in. Yes.
Yeah, so actually we're located in Mountain View, California.
Okay.
And I did like coding for them and also a lot of finance and analytics. So very what we call left brain type of activity.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what I find what makes people successful even in the corporate setting is how do you use your right brain, the right part of your brain. And that has to do a lot with being in harmony with your colleagues, with your subordinates, with your bosses. How do you communicate effectively? How do you work well within a team? And a lot of that can't really learn from a code or a formula. You have to learn by knowing the energies of yourself and the people you work with. And oftentimes when you blend both that yin and yang, that's what creates perfect harmony and a complete solution for you.
Obviously, I know not everybody practices feng shui.
Correct.
But like we've always explained in articles that we've written before, it's actually really more of a practical thing to sort of follow, and it's nothing to be anxious about. So I think if anything, what the Yin and Yang shop and Patrick will do for us today is just to give us a little bit of guidance. It's always up to them anyway, if they're going to follow the principles, or you make your own luck at the end of the day. Am I right?
Exactly. And what feng shui is all about is energy and living in harmony with nature.
Yes.
And everyone living in planet Earth really needs that. And often what I've seen living here in the Philippines and abroad for 20 years now is sometimes people know it's feng shui, and for other people they just have a sense that, hey, I want to learn more about how do I live more in harmony with my environment, with the people around me, etc. And then they find out later after reading and researching that, oh, there's a name. It's actually called feng shui.
Yes, yes.
Oh, and it's been around for thousands of years.
So they realize it afterwards.
Exactly. Now, this is what they've been looking for, and they now have a term that they can actually use and apply for their life. So it's really exciting that it's getting now almost worldwide adoption for many different things. Like, I think here for the Philippines, what's getting traction as well is, naturally we're superstitious people.
Yes.
So first we think, hey, is this magic? Or you put this thing and magically something happens. And oftentimes what they find out later on is there's a science behind it. It's very systematic. There's a lot of numbers behind it. And from there they're able to see that it's not just focus, but it's how do I look and read the energies that are coming and use it for me. And as you mentioned, you make your own luck.
Yes.
So it's not that we're victims of fate, but we're the captains of our own ship. So it's going to be pretty exciting because it's not only the start of a new year or a new decade, it's the start of a whole new 12 years.
Then let's get to the exciting thing.
Sure.
What are the energies going to be like in the coming year? Let's start off.
So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yes.
Because it's not only the start of a new year or a new decade, it's the start of a whole new 12-year cycle.
Okay.
So it starts with a rat, number 1, and ends with a pig, number 12, which is where we're at right now. So 2020, if you think about it, there's a lot of new starts, a lot of new beginnings. And that's going to be a key theme for this year. Fresh starts, creative energy, new beginnings. So what we can take for ourselves is, how do I harness this energy for my betterment and the betterment of the people around me? So there are things you've been thinking of starting that you really haven't gotten the time to do. This is the year to do it.
Okay, this is what I wanted to ask. Really.
Sure.
Because we've all been, shocked by the start of the year, at least here in the Philippines. I mean, literally an explosion, over in Taal.
Correct.
And it's quite, it's quite a sad start to the year for Filipinos. A lot of our countrymen displaced. What does the golden year of the rat? Is there anything? Is there a particular energy that has set off these explosions? And is the year going to be a little bit like that? That's the worry.
I know,
Yes.
I know. And what we're seeing is, even though the year officially begins in late January, or the solar year, which begins in February 4th, the energies already started after the winter solstice, which is late December. So the energies, the golden rat are already starting. And in doing further analysis, there's also a more specific energy for this year, which is one of fire and one of earth. And that's what the day energy of the year is. And if we think about fire and earth, this is kind of what we're seeing. And it's all really from the elements and the interaction of the elements that we have. So the key thing really, I think, for us is understanding what are all the potential things that could happen. And then second is, how do we prepare ourselves collectively and then also personally? Because, and some of the very encouraging things I'm seeing on social media, for example, is the bayanihan spirit, like people giving out free masks, free food for evacuees and so on. So I think that's a perfect way to respond, which is, we can't control force majeure, things that happen in nature, but we can respond to it happening to us. How do we help ourselves and our fellow people? So
we always give sort of the characteristics of whoever it is, which animal the year is named after. So who is the golden rat?
Sure. So so let me tell you a story.
Okay. Yeah.
So the legend goes that the Buddha, or the Jade Emperor way back, called a great race for all the animals, and they said, okay, the first 12 to arrive, all the years in the calendar will be named after them in that order.
So he's first, huh?
So what happened was, the rat, being very smart, woke up early, and then he knew he was small, so he had to compete with the dragon and the tiger and all these other larger animals. He made his way very early. Unfortunately, part of the race was a river, and that was the last part. And then he figured, I can't do this on my own. Then he sees the ox lumbering along, who also got up early, and then he says, okay, he talked to the ox and said, hey, let's make a deal. Can I ride on your back, and then we'll cross together? The ox, being very kind, said, sure, why not? So the rat climbed back the ox, they made their way, and then just as the ox made his way to the other side, he jumped off his back, and then he ran to the finish line.
Ooh,
so
he is not just smart, but wise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so from there, that's that's exactly the first element of the rat that's going to be prevalent this year, which is a lot of intelligence, a lot of creativity, pushing the envelope, and therefore there's going to be a lot of good ideas that will come out this year. So if you want to brainstorm with yourself or with your other, with your colleagues and so on, this will be a great time to do that.
I call them the friends of the animal for the year, but who are lucky then? Who are going to be lucky this year?
So the luckiest ones will be the ox, because he helped the rat.
Okay, well, he gets a prize anyway.
Exactly.
Okay.
He came in second, and he helped the rat. So they're actually the good
That's
friends.
great.
Exactly.
The rat is nice after all.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And the lucky signs this year will be the goat, the rooster, and the snake's also going to be pretty good. Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Okay. And who should, I guess, rethink plans or plan even more?
Yeah,
Who are these?
you should
Which
watch
signs
out.
are these?
Yeah, so the ones that are not so lucky, one is the horse. And it's because the horse is in conflict with the rat. So naturally, there's some energies that won't go with the horse this year. So what they can do, to your point, is try to find out how they can overcome obstacles and take them as learning opportunities. So when a hurdle comes, take it as it comes and then say, okay, I got stronger because of it, rather than being defeated by it. The monkeys will have an uneven year this year as well. And particularly for them, it would be with backstabbing or when people go behind their back and potential accidents. So that's something the monkeys should be aware of. The pigs this year are also going to be a little uneven. They should watch out for quarrels and conflicts. And they should also watch out for attracting people who are not good for them. So those are some of the signs that you should watch out this year. What you do for yourself internally and what you do externally to your surroundings.
Okay.
So internally, if you're, for example, trying to look for the one,
So in general though, let's take all the things that people sort of want to focus on in the new year. First of all, okay, I'll put finances in the end.
Sure.
Let's talk about love.
Yes.
How do you keep the romance, or how do you find the one if you're looking for the one this year?
Sure. How do you keep the fire burning?
Yes, yes.
So the luckiest signs for love this year are the rabbit, the goat. The pig is also going to be pretty good in love this year. So those are the ones where the rat is what we call a peach blossom star, so the romance is going to be strong. And the good thing is it's romance in the traditional sense with, husband-wife, boyfriend-girlfriend. It's also romance in a larger sense, even for work, for example. So you'll be seen as
how you get along with everybody.
Exactly. Especially if you're in sales, you'll be seen as more attractive, more charismatic to your clients, to other people you meet. So that's how we can define romance for the year. And for that, what we can do is one on the personal side. There's always two elements usually to love: what you do for yourself internally and what you do externally to your surroundings.
Okay.
So internally, if you're, for example, trying to look for the one, if you know you have good luck but you just stay at home, you're probably not gonna find the one. So put yourself out there. Go for like there's meetups.
Be more open.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go to or ask people, hey, can you introduce me to someone, and so on, right? So all of that, so that you're actually taking advantage of the strong luck you had this year. And then for couples, as you mentioned, it would be a good year to rediscover themselves. Go on a second or third honeymoon. Exactly. Find some alone time, date night, so they can rekindle those bonds. And then for the feng shui perspective, there's usually energies every year that change, and what you should do is focus on where the strong romance energy is for the year. And this year is going to be in the northeast.
Alright.
So in the northeast sector, if your home or your office, find out where that is. You can use your...
The phone.
Exactly. The compass. Exactly. Find out where the northeast sector is and try to enhance that by having lucky elements or lucky charms that will help. Exactly.
Such as, if we can name some of these lucky elements.
One of it is what we call the Mandarin ducks.
Okay.
So, and the reason for Mandarin ducks is these creatures actually mate for life. So once they get together, they're
forever.
They're in it
mate
together.
forever.
Mate forever. Yeah. Who goes there?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Mandarin ducks are good, and then we also have what we call the brass happy couple, which is self-explanatory. So having that couple is always a reminder that you can be together and happy. That's another good thing. And then lastly, we have this brass and pumpkin, which also gives good harmony, luck for relationships. So those are some things.
How about health? Who needs to watch out for their health this year?
So for health this year, the ones in particular would be, we talked about the horse because they're in conflict. So just make sure you have checkups and nothing's underlying that you should be concerned about. The rat actually also has what we call a blade star. And what the rats should watch out for, even though it's their year, is minor cuts or injuries related to metal or something like that. Yeah, or even like cars, because exactly. So they should be careful of that. Monkeys as well should be careful about potential accidents. So just don't take any unnecessary risks like bungee jumping or parasailing or anything like that. Yeah, take it easy this year. Don't tempt fate, as they say. Yeah.
What about, because you said that it's going to be a year of new beginnings,
Yes.
And you know, a lot of planning. What are the industries that are going to be still booming this year?
So this year, the lucky industries, based on our analysis, are related to fire. And fire, this would include like food and restaurants. Those will be pretty good.
What gives you energy?
Exactly,
No? Okay,
exactly.
yeah.
So the food and restaurant industry should do pretty well. What we're also seeing as strong is the energy industry. So power, you know, be it electrical power or etc. That's also going to be good. The entertainment industry is also going to be pretty good. So anything that has to do with creatives and you know, things where you use more of your left brain, that's going. Your right brain, that's going to be good. And then the technology industry will be good as well. So if you're investing in certain stocks, certain technology industries will be doing pretty well this year as well.
So in terms of construction and real estate and all that, is there a little bit that we can share?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is the property industry won't be as good as it was in the previous years. And I think that just comes with cycles.
Okay.
So as we saw a very strong cycle in the past, I say 3-4 years, we should see some sort of slowdown. And right now I think it's a seller's market. So in that aspect, just take it with with that knowledge. And what we're seeing is verticals may be a little bit more challenging than horizontals. So for property, that's what some of the things that we're seeing. It won't be as strong as previous years, real estate development, etc. So,
but for everyday folks that just and go to their jobs every day, how can they make sure that their finances are good this year, and that it's going to be a smooth sailing year for them? How can we do that?
So for the rat, for the year of the rat, what we can take as one of the characteristics, which it shares with a lot of rodents, which is during the winter it tends to take things and then save them. So that's something we can do this year.
Learn from the rat.
Exactly. Like if you earn well this year, make sure you're able to save it rather than spend it, and then if you can, invest it more for the long term, so that you're able to take care of yourself this year and also for years to come. This is not probably the year to be extravagantly spending. Partly it's because the rat as well is in the middle of the winter cycle of feng shui. So from that perspective, what they should do is be very prudent in terms of when they earn, they're able to watch their expenses and also save wisely for today and for the future. So.
Well, generally there's only, besides our own feng shui, sometimes we always just really want to know what our presidents here might be like. Just a little bit of, maybe I wouldn't say advice, but just just a word of whatever caution for the president. I mean, we've all been wondering about his health in the past year, and maybe just in general, what do you think the Philippines might be like for the year of the golden rat?
Sure. So something I think I can share, which would not just be maybe for the president, but I think I would say maybe for all of our leaders in government and even in the private industry. Because there's going to be a lot of new energy and creative energy, what also tends to happen is we lose focus. We want to do everything
the same right now.
Exactly, which is impossible. So what I'd recommend is try to find common agenda points that everyone can work on, so that rather than everyone wanting to do everything for their own agenda, we're able to focus resources, energy on some very key themes that's going to help us. And I think for the disasters, for example, it naturally brings that where people rally together. Think about it in that sense, where what are the burning platforms that we should all establish so that we can all get together and then help. And then I think the other characteristic of the year is going to be helpful for them as well is because the rat was very social, he couldn't do things on his own, he couldn't swim, so he had to get the help of the ox. This year, find out who your ox is. Be it a person or a different organization, that when you bring things together, it's actually going to help you get even more out of it rather than just doing things yourself.
And ask for help.
Exactly.
Actually say
Don't
that,
be afraid to ask for help. Exactly. And studies have shown that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
Okay.
because you know what you can do and what you can't do, and then you're able to recognize and be humble to say, I need your help because of X, Y, Z, and it will help us get things better together, and here's what's in it for you. And very often it's going to lead to very good results. So,
and one last question, what should we wear on the eve of Chinese New Year to welcome the New Year? Is it still red?
Yeah, so wear something very festive, and because fire and wood are the good elements, wearing something red or red tones like orange, something along those lines. Something green would be helpful as well, would be lucky. So if you can wear anything that's festive in those color tones, that would be great.
So we're going to all head to our closets now and find out what to wear for the New Year. Again, my thanks, and we're looking forward to celebrating the Chinese New Year again here at New World with the yin and yang, of course, on top of these wonderful festivities. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tessa. Appreciate it.
Thank you.